Have you ever listened to a song only to find out later on that the lyrics you thought you were hearing were wrong? Maybe you were listening to Blank Space by Taylor Swift and you misunderstood and got a long list of ex-lovers for all the lonely Starbucks lovers, something that even Swift's mom agreed with. Or maybe when Jimi Hendrix sings "Excuse Me While I Kiss the Sky" on Purple Haze, you heard "Excuse me while I kiss this guy." If that's ever happened to you, you'll be happy to hear that there's a word for that: Mondegreen. And it happens when you misunderstand or misinterpret words or phrases when listening to a song. See, there are two parts to listening to music. The first part is the physical act, the process of sound waves making their way through your ear and to your brain. The second part is the mental act. Your brain takes the noise and gives it meaning and significance. It's what helps you know that a bird is chirping or an engine is revving. It happens for everything we hear. We're hardwired to make sense of our senses. Arguably, there's a third component as well, emotional, or how the music makes you feel. But Mondegreens are mostly dependent on points 1 and 2, so we'll just cover those. The word Mondegreen itself is a Mondegreen. It was coined in 1954 by Sylvia Wright in an essay for Harper's Magazine. She had misheard the last line of the first stanza from a 17th century ballad called The Bonnie Earl o' Moray as "and Lady Mondegreen" instead of what was actually said, which was "and laid him on the green." A Mondegreen occurs at the intersection of the physical and the mental. You've heard the noise, you've made some sense of it, but something got lost in translation, and now you're hearing something that was never said. It'll happen for just a part of the song, maybe a line or two, and almost never more than that. And it can happen for any number of reasons. 1. It's noisy and you just didn't hear it properly. Think of it like this. If you're talking with someone in a bar or at a party, you can always ask them to repeat themselves if you mishear them, or they can correct you. But you can't do that with music. You usually just go with what you hear, unless you're really curious and look up the lyrics. 2. The sound mix was muddy. This can happen during movies as well, when the music's volume is louder than the dialogue and you can barely hear what the actors are saying. The instrumental and the vocals aren't clearly defined and bleed into each other. 3. The singer might have been singing too quickly and the words blended into each other. Similarly, if someone is speaking in an unfamiliar accent or way, your brain has to process what they're saying a bit more to resolve any ambiguities. In all of these cases, you will eventually slip up. The ambiguity will be resolved, but in an incorrect way. What was said and what was heard will be mismatched. Have you ever read a book or seen a movie that relies on someone misinterpreting something? Think that, but less serious. As we hear words, we parse them in order to make sense of what's being said. Sometimes we parse them incorrectly. Take the song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. One of the lyrics says all of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names.
You would even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names.
All of the other reindeer is clear when we read it. All of is 2 words. But there's another word that, if you don't read it, could also fit in. Olive, as in the fruit or the name. Fans of Christmas specials will know that there's a 1999 animated Christmas movie called All of the Other Reindeer, which is inspired by this particular Mondegreen, which is called an oronym.
No clue, but now I've got the reindeer moves. I'm a true blue member of the crew.
Good to call it to remind us you can't give up on Christmas Eve. Now the trouble's all behind us, 'cause all have taught us how to believe.
You can think of a Mondegreen as a theory of what you heard, which really is all communication, because anything can be taken out of context or misinterpreted. Songs and poems, by their very nature, decontextualize what's being said. If we don't hear something properly, we try to fill it in ourselves based on what we already know. I know Taylor Swift writes songs about love, so I can see why people would mistake a long list of ex-lovers for all the lonely Starbucks lovers. Both have to do with lovers, and most people probably have ex-lovers and have gone to Starbucks. You've probably seen more people kiss guys than kiss the skies. But that's just what we fill in based on our own experience. There's no guarantee you'll fill in something that makes sense in the context of what's being said. Because audio processing happens so quickly, there's not a lot of time to correct the mistake. It's why even after people are shown the right lyric, they stick with the original interpretation. First impressions and last impressions are both important and difficult to adjust after the fact. What we initially hear is often the first and last impression. It sticks with us for a long time, so we're unlikely to change it, even after being corrected. Funnily enough, sometimes the Mondegreen becomes the new interpretation. The best example is from the Christmas carol, The 12 Days of Christmas. On the 4th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 4 calling birds, is the lyric that we're all familiar with. But the carol, which goes back to the 1700s, has gone through many iterations. In 1780, the 4th day used to be 4 collie birds, C-O-L-L-Y, which refer to blackbirds. By Frederick Austin's 1909 version, the one with the melody that we're all used to, it had morphed into 4 calling birds, and has remained that way. If you want to see a collection of misheard lyrics, the website amiright.com is dedicated to amusing Mondegreens throughout history, and I suggest checking it out for a good time.